Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and I'm coming to you from Washington, D.C. I'm here in Washington, D.C. To attend a conference on India. It's called Voice of the Republic. The participants are, a lot of them are from India and some Indian American scholars. There are a few Congress people who are also participating. There are a lot of local American policy community members also who are engaging in this discussion basically on Gandhian values and the importance of Gandhian values in politics and democracy today. But today I'm going to talk to you about, in this conversation, about the Gaza plan. As you all must have already read about it, and there's already a lot of coverage in the media, but there are some issues about it that I want to discuss because I'm not fully confident that this plan is going anywhere, but it is at least an effort, a good effort from Donald Trump to advance a peace plan. My summary of the plan is very simple. It looks as if it is a short-term relief to the Palestinians, but there is a long-term colonization project right there. There is no identified pathway to statehood. And essentially what Donald Trump's plan is doing is two things. One, it hopes to completely achieve through this peace plan what Israel in 2 years has not achieved through military means, which is the complete destruction of Hamas, the only resistance that Israel faces in the region at the moment. So number one, the goal is to achieve through this peace process what Israel has failed to achieve through military purpose, through military means, which is to destroy Hamas, make it surrender and go away. And the other seems to be to kind of cement the occupation of Gaza through layered colonization, which means that now there will be two layers. So while Israel will not be directly controlling Gaza, Gaza will now be controlled by a proxy. And that is Donald Trump and Tony Blair. Tony Blair, that slimy snake, is a war criminal. He should be prosecuted for the war crimes he committed in Iraq. Instead of that, he's now going to be made the viceroy or governor general of Gaza. It is hilarious to see how this man has shown up again in the Middle East. He has zero credibility in the Middle East. Nobody trusts him. And to make him the leader or head or somehow in charge of Gaza is atrocious. It basically says that maybe the Donald Trump team is not as serious about the plan. It hopes that this plan will give Israel some international coverage. And then by making impossible demands of Hamas, which it will then justify the continuation of genocide and violence against Palestinian civilians who are being killed on a daily basis. Even after the proposal of this plan, Israel has continued to kill civilians in Gaza. But anyway, there are some positives in it. Number one, the plan basically says that if Hamas surrenders entirely, which means it releases all hostages within the next 72 hours, 24 hours have already passed or more. So in the next 48 hours, if Hamas were to release all hostages, give up all its weapons and completely surrender, they have options to either get amnesty and stay, or they can peacefully leave Gaza and go away wherever, if any country is willing to take them. So basically, Gaza will have to become Hamas free. So Hamas will have absolutely no say in Gaza, in its governance or any form, and actually it will cease to exist as anything, whatever it is, a terrorist organization or a freedom fighter, whatever you want to call it. But it will cease to exist within the next 72 hours if they accept this plan. And why would Hamas, I don't understand, except, of course, the logic, I mean, if Hamas really cared about all the civilian deaths, perhaps it would not have triggered October 7, but apparently its political goals are more important for it. In fact, for all actors who are involved in this particular conflict, whether it's Israel or the United States or Hamas, political goals seem to be more important than the lives of Palestinians and the lives of women and children in Gaza. Anyway, so so Hamas surrenders itself, and then Israel will withdraw from Gaza. There are a couple of interesting statements saying that Israel will not annex Gaza. Israel will not occupy Gaza. But on behalf of Israel and International Stabilization Force, ISF will govern and maintain the security of Gaza until that time when Palestinian Authority reforms. And I don't know what those reforms will be. And it will be Israel which will decide and say, okay, now the Palestinian Authority is reformed, so now it can get involved in the governance of Gaza. So ultimately, Israel will have the last say on Gaza, and basically the US and UK and some Arab countries who are supposed to provide forces. I am pretty sure that none of these countries are going to provide any forces on the ground because, first of all, there is something called Islamic Jihad there. And then all the remnants of Hamas, they might just constitute themselves as another fighting force. And they're going to target this ISF now, which is going to be right there. Imagine IEDs exploding every day. This will become like Iraq for the ISF. And I guarantee you 5 or 6 soldiers killed from UAE or Saudi Arabia, and these countries will run for cover. So then Gaza will become again ungovernable, completely chaotic, and then Israel will come back. So there are some fundamental problems with this plan, and I don't think it will keep going forward. And honestly, one of the worst signals that Donald Trump has sent about the lack of good intention is by choosing Tony Blair to be involved in this project. I mean, he was living in his obscurity. He should not have been brought back. The moment I heard his name, I lost full confidence in this plan. I still think that there are some positives in it. The best part is that immediate humanitarian aid will be provided to the Gazans. See, with each passing day, hundreds and hundreds of Gazans are just dying of starvation, and Israel is killing 30 to 40 people. Israel kills more Palestinians in a day than Russia is killing Ukrainians in a week. So this war is far more intense, and from a humanitarian perspective, one of the most ugliest and evilest of wars going on. So the chances of this plan succeeding, even if Hamas accepts, are unlikely. But the only good thing is there will be immediate relief to the Palestinians. Hopefully there will be food that will be allowed in right away. There are trucks, hundreds and thousands of trucks waiting to take food into Gaza. And there are boats which are also willing to take relief to Gaza. So hopefully that is the only positive thing that I can see coming out of this plan, is that there is short-term relief to the people of Gaza. In the long term, this is not a very good plan. And there is not much clarity. Look at the map that the White House has submitted. Okay, if you look at this map right here, so if you see the blue line, that is where the Israeli forces are at the moment. And when the hostages are released, they will move back to the yellow line and then the red line. And there's no final withdrawal. They are going to take land from Gaza to create a buffer zone. I don't know what that buffer zone is, I guess to eliminate tunnels and prevent the future attacks coming from Gaza to Israel. But nevertheless, it clearly says that Israeli troops are going to remain inside Gaza. Already, Netanyahu has started misrepresenting it and representing it entirely differently. He says our troops are never going to leave Gaza. There is going to be no Palestinian state. So already Netanyahu in Hebrew is saying entirely different things to the Israelis than what he said in the White House. So Trump is saying one thing, Netanyahu is saying one thing, and you can bet ultimately who gets what. Trump can pretend to be the boss, but when it comes to the Middle East, America does whatever Netanyahu wants. The power of the Israeli lobby is phenomenal. Even Donald Trump, with all his talk about America first, is not able to pursue an America first policy. However, to Donald Trump's credit, he did manage to compel Netanyahu to apologize to the Emir of Qatar. So when he came to the White House, Donald Trump made Netanyahu called the Emir of Qatar and apologized for what he did, basically attacking Doha. So for the Arabs, this is something great. I guess this must be the greatest achievement for Qatar in its history, that it got the Israeli prime minister to apologize. But nevertheless, I'm not very confident. The more I read about this, the more I think about it, the less optimistic I become, except for the 3-4 things that the plan does not visualize annexation of Gaza, even though the plan does not touch or say anything about the West Bank and ultimately creation of a Palestinian state. What it essentially shows is that there will be a proxy to Israel which will govern Gaza. There is no discussion of ultimately democratization of Gaza or something like, okay, once ISF has established stability, there will be an election in Gaza or an election in Palestine. Even that is not on the cards. So this whole idea of Gaza becoming a self-governing unit is not part of the plan. It will be governed by, I guess, the British and the Americans. So there is, once again, we are witnessing a Western colonial project here. So in that sense, I can say that while there are positive things to this plan, in the long run, this is not going to work. And especially the demands that are made of Hamas look, will the world be a better place without Hamas? Probably yes. Will the Gazans have a better option? I think until recently, the people of West Bank were living better than the people of Gaza. And the difference really was who was governing Gaza and who was governing West Bank. But will Hamas sacrifice itself? I don't think so. Why will it do that? And the threat is basically saying that, okay, if you don't die by yourself, we will continue to kill more people and we will kill you. There's also this perverse logic that probably Hamas is thinking, look, if we resist, Israel will commit more atrocities and will lose more public opinion and support, both in the US and in Europe. It already has lost Europe, more or less, at least the people, the corrupt rulers of these elected people who take money from lobbyists are, like you can see, Italy is a very good example. The entire population of Italy seems to be on one side, and Giorgia Meloni is on the other side. So yes, the elite, even though they are elected democratic leaders, they have sold their souls to billionaires and lobbyists. So maybe there's this perverse logic that Hamas is thinking that if it continues to resist and sacrifices a few more thousand Palestinians to the cause, maybe there might be an international momentum to do something which will ultimately be in the favor of Palestinians. So let me sum it up by saying the only positive thing in this for the Palestinians is that there is a possibility of immediate relief. Otherwise, Israel is going to kill them, bomb them, and starve them to death. This is a genocide that is going on, and the international community has done absolutely nothing. There is no plan to stop the genocide. There is no plan to do anything to forcibly provide some kind of food or relief to the Palestinians. So at least this plan has something positive for the Palestinians. Other than that, I don't think this is a pathway to long-term peace, as President Trump seems to think. He's hoping that perhaps if there's a ceasefire, this will strengthen his claim to a Nobel Prize. He seems to be obsessed with the idea of winning a Nobel Prize. Other than that, I think. So in the next 36 hours, we will probably know whether Hamas is going to accept it or not. Already there are suggestions coming from people who claim that they have spoken to leaders in Hamas. Even BBC has an article to that effect, saying that while Hamas says that it is looking at this in a responsible way, whatever that means, it is reviewing this in a responsible fashion, but they've already called the plan extremely biased and that there is nothing in this for Palestinians. Anyway, so if there are interesting comments or questions, I'll be happy to take them. And thank you for listening. For those of you who have not subscribed to the conversation, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon. Don't forget to do that and share this video. So let us see what comments do we have. Good morning, good morning. Lots of good mornings to all of you. We will talk about the shutdown. I don't do domestic politics much, but if there are definitely implications. We have gone through this process before uh, under Donald Trump. This is nothing new. We will talk about the closing of shutting down of America. It's not as big as people think outside, but this time we will see what happens. And then if I have something interesting to say, I will say. Otherwise, you can read the newspapers. Tushar has a very good question. Where is China in this Israel-Gaza conflict and the action plan proposed? There is absolutely no role for anybody. All the great countries of the earth, great civilizations, China, India, Russia, absolutely zero role in this so-called multipolar world. Neither France, all the countries that say this is a multipolar world, they have no role in this multipolar world. France, nowhere. Russia, nowhere. China, nowhere. India, nowhere. So none of these countries which claim that this is a multipolar world and they should be part of governance, etc., they have absolutely no role, nothing to say. Narendra Modi sent a tweet saying, "Oh, this is such a great plan," and that's all there is there, unfortunately, Tushar. Everything held by Israel and Americans, no representation of Palestinian Muslim countries being hypocrites, primarily Gulf countries. They're just thinking about their own security. I agree with you, Purushottam, totally. There was no input into this plan from the Palestinians. I think that the meeting that Trump had at the UN with 8 Muslim countries, I think the input coming from Turkey and others, and some of those countries, apparently Turkey is also currently involved in negotiations with Hamas along with Qatar, that we saw 1 or 2 lines which would make people in the Muslim world happy, saying Gaza will not be occupied by Israel, Israel will evacuate Gaza, and those kind of things, an interfaith dialogue. And there is a mention that ultimately the Palestinians can pursue their aspirations for a national state without getting into specifics. So they do mention self-determination for Palestinians. I think that is the extent of the input of the Muslim countries into this plan. Samir, Saurabh, good evening to you. Akshat Gaur, I think if America wants to make Gaza an American base, well, it might be good for the Gazans. At least they will become prosperous, hopefully. But we will see how it goes, because there seems to be a strange logic that the locals will not have any say in their own governance. So there's absolute no plan for self-governance in Gaza. Even the technocrats who are going to be governing most probably are going to come from the West. They could be Palestinians, but they are probably going to be recruited here in the US, Canada, and UK. So if that has happened, I guarantee you there'll be another group that will emerge and will start targeting Americans who are there in Gaza. So what is happening to Israel will then start happening to American presence there. You saw what happened in Beirut, with a suicide bomber, and so the U.S. withdrew its troops. Unfortunately, I don't know whether Donald Trump really knows and understands the history of the region before he makes this plan. Yes, I mean, this is all a one-sided plan to agree. The more I read it, the more I think about it. Like I said, the only positive that I see is the possibility of immediate relief and prevent the lives of thousands of other people dying of starvation and Israel killing them on a daily basis. Yeah. Unfortunately, Arabs are not beggars. They're just incapable of systematic planning and coordination. They don't trust each other. They can't put up a united front, at least the way Europe does. That's the problem with the Arabs. Yes, Nadeem Beg, it's not a question. We are not helpless. It's not a helpless thing. It's just that the Arab world is doing very little in terms of pushing for the Palestinian cause. And I think what Hamas did on October 7 was because it felt that its cause was being abandoned by the Arabs with the expansion of the Abrahamic Accords. So, and I think that if you see the lack of protests in the Arab world on this issue, there is no massive effort. You don't see any momentum on the ground, a pro-Palestine movement inside the Arab world today. It's only the governments which are trying to do something. Yeah, Nadim, I agree that the whole idea of resurrecting Tony Blair, the war criminal, he should be in jail, not becoming an important player in the international system, especially in the Middle East. My God, they should send him to Ukraine and let him try and negotiate between Russia and Ukraine. Good morning, Sabun, Samar Pratap. Thank you very much for your gift. Umar, what is the reason for Munir and Sharif's diplomatic success? Well, the most important thing that they have done is to give Donald Trump credit for the ceasefire. That itself has made Donald Trump very pro. And then I think Donald Trump has basically turned sour on India and Narendra Modi in particular. And as a result of that, he has found that one way in which he can troll Modi and India is by giving importance. So even while he was talking recently to the generals, the speech that he gave on Tuesday to the collection of generals that the Secretary of Defense assembled here in the US, Donald Trump was praising Asim Munir. And he said such a beautiful thing, which is giving Donald Trump the credit for the ceasefire. So I think India, by not giving Donald Trump any acknowledgement of the role, and that is what India did, was actually not honest. Because Donald Trump's team was constantly talking to them. Marco Rubio was talking to Dr. Jaishankar and Ajit Doval. Narendra Modi himself had a long conversation with J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance was then talking with his Pakistani counterparts. So there was a lot of mediation going on by the U.S. between the two countries. So to completely deny that is also unfair on India's part. So I think that that is probably one of the problems that has irritated. And then, of course, the negotiations don't seem to be going well at all on the trade basis. The Pakistani political parties are not focused on what is happening in the Gaza. They are basically focused on their internal politics. And increasingly, the more Trump gives attention to Shehbaz Sharif and to Munir, the less important Imran Khan becomes. So the Pakistani supporters of Imran Khan are beginning to panic, saying that, okay, this case is over. And increasingly, I had a conversation with Qamar on his show about Imran Khan. And he says that Imran Khan is finished. He's not a force in Pakistani politics, and it is quite possible that he will remain in jail for the rest of his life. So basically, Imran Khan stabbed the very people who brought him to power. Imran Khan didn't win an outright election. The military manipulated the system as usual and made him the prime minister, and then he turned against the military. And so the ministry turned against him. The military turned against him, and so he basically, it's like saying you live by the sword, you die by the sword. He lived by the army, he died by the army. So there was a chance. If you pick up, I think a year or so ago, the Pakistani establishment had offered a deal to Imran Khan to leave politics and then leave the country, so he could have returned to England. And he refused to accept that deal. He still wants to be the prime minister of Pakistan. Well, Israel's achievements are overrated. Some are, yes, the Muslim world is definitely backwards and underdeveloped at the moment. But Israel is completely overstated with the billions and billions of dollars that we give every year. We give a lot of aid. We give more aid per person to Israel than we give to, I think, even Americans. And not only that, they have complete access to American universities, scientific research, military technology, and then there's a lot of civilian money and charity going in from evangelical Christians, etc. So if you give billions and billions of dollars, say, if America gave in proportion to that kind of research money to countries like in Indonesia and Malaysia, even to Pakistan, the universities, etc., they will do as well as Israel, if not better. Yes, I agree with you. They have no leverage, they have no power. And as long as Israel is supported by the United States, the world's most powerful country with the world's largest economy, largest military, there is going to be very difficult to alter that balance of power. And as long as Israel has US support, both religious support. Look at the way Mike Huckabee, who is America's press ambassador to the Israelis, if you listen to him, you will be totally confused as to whose ambassador he is, to such an extent that he himself says, that you may think I'm Israel's ambassador, but that's how strong there is advocacy. My program is tonight here in Washington, D.C., at Hyatt Regency. So we have a panel on the resilience of India-US relations, and it will be live streamed, hopefully. And if it is not live streamed, definitely I will share a link with you in my community post. If you come to my channel, I'll post it there, inshallah, by tonight, late tonight or tomorrow, definitely, because I myself am speaking at this conference here tomorrow, which is also Gandhi Jayanti, the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi. So it is 6:30 to 8 p.m. New York time, Sabun. Yeah, I agree with you, Tushar, that after 2 years of using, Israel has dropped more bombs on Gaza than some of the ammunitions that were used in World War II. And yet it has failed to destroy Hamas. Macron, the French president, was saying that there are as many Hamas fighters there today as there was on day one. 2 years ago, in October 8, when the war started, from when Israel basically started attacking Gaza. So this whole business that we are going to destroy Hamas is not making sense. With all, it's not just the Israel which is attacking. The Americans, the British have provided intelligence. They are flying planes over Gaza, collecting intelligence and showing it to Israelis. So there are a lot of weapons supplies from Canada, from Germany, from Great Britain, from the US, coming to Israel nonstop. When Iran attacked Israel, even Jordan and Saudi Arabia, also the Arabs came to the defense of Israel. So Israel is protected by so many countries, and it is continuously armed by so many countries. So this whole idea that Israel is this invincible superpower is kind of overrated. Hamas had nothing. It's like, I don't know what it has. It doesn't have an air force. It doesn't have an Iron Dome defense system. So whatever they made and smuggled through those tunnels is all the weapons that they have. And they seem to be fighting and still surviving. Yes, the leadership is dead. But I think that those days are over where military force could achieve political goals. The US realized that in Iraq as well as in Afghanistan. We failed to achieve our political goals. The whole idea was to democratize the region, and they failed. And Afghanistan, the Taliban are back, and they're the Taliban are worse now than they were before. Apparently, they have cut off all internet access to their country. So they want to go back into the 6th century, In fact, I'm going to do a short video on them today to talk about, I think they are the stupidest country on earth today. Sad to say that. Anyway, Thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to share this link with your friends. And thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtadar Khan. Take care.